SCPs. When you hear of them, you'll probably think of something like SCP-173 who'll snap your neck if you aren't looking, or SCP-035 that will manipulate you and then melt your face off. But what if it didn't have to be this way? Why are SCPs instinctively categorized as evil when there are so many good and helpful SCPs that could solve many of the world's problems and hell, even all of your problems? So if this sounds too good to be true, we won't waste any time and get right into it. First of all, we have the classic SCP-294. Now if you played SCP Containment Breach, you're probably familiar with this one. SCP-294 is an average looking vending machine, but oh boy, don't let looks deceive you, because this thing is much more powerful and impressive than it looks. Instead of a classical machine menu, this thing has a standard English keyboard on it, on which you can input anything you desire for a cheap price of 50 cents. This can be something as simple as a cola or a beer, but it can also dispose liquid gold, gasoline, or any other useful substance as long as it's able to exist in a fluid form. But besides this thing being able to satisfy your drink cravings or making you rich by producing endless gold, you can also use it to both kill and save people. In one incident, an agent decided for shits and giggles to order a cup of Joe, which by the way was his co-worker's name. Moments after confirming the selection, Agent Joe began to sweat profusely and complained of dizziness before collapsing. After moving the unconscious agent to the infirmary, the medical team recovered the contents of the cup dispensed by SCP-294. Testing revealed that the DNA sequence of the biological material dispensed by SCP-294 matched the one of Agent Joe, and after 4 weeks of rest, the agent managed to make a full recovery. But in theory, this means that if you kept ordering the cups of somebody's name, SCP-294 would slowly but surely extract their blood, tissue, and other essential fluids of a human body. And this will of course eventually kill this person, and the best part is that there will be straight up zero evidence to their death. Like, who the hell would expect for a murder to occur because a magic vending machine magically seals somebody's blood? But besides these brutal practices, like I said, SCP-294 can also save lives by granting knowledge. During a mass security breach, an agent requested a cup of pertinent medical knowledge while taking shelter inside the second floor break room. Of the 4 agents in the room, this agent was the only one who wasn't injured. SCP-294 poured a cup of clear green liquid. Upon consuming this substance, the agent began mending the other agent's wounds in a manner consistent with the SCP Foundation's medical training. After some time passed, the agent no longer had the medical training that the liquid provided, and other attempts to recreate the effect have failed. It's speculated that this event was an emergency measure taken by the object to ensure self-preservation. So basically, if the machine detects that things have gone to shit, it is able to dispense drinks that give you knowledge or strengths that you usually don't possess. Besides all of this useful stuff, this thing also has basically endless possibilities. The Foundation used it to temporarily cure a Class D of leukemia, as the machine of course didn't deny the request for a cup of Class D leukemia. Many people typed in the best drink I've ever had, and sure thing, to each one of these people it dispensed the most favorite drink they tasted earlier in life. One scientist requested a cup of My Life Story. The machine shook violently for 3 minutes but then dispensed a black liquid. The scientist, upon drinking it, has said to remember every single thing in his life. He went to his office and returned 48 hours later with a 538-page biography. However, you gotta be careful to not let this machine get the best of you. One subject requested the perfect drink. The machine dispensed an odorless lavender liquid. After drinking the liquid, the subject appeared to go into shock and later committed suicide, leaving a note which read, "I'm sorry, but at this point everything's just one big letdown." Like, imagine killing yourself because the machine dispensed the liquid so good that nothing life can offer can even come close to the enjoyment of that drink. So yeah, this SCP is basically a magical genie that's limited to fluids, which makes it one of the most useful and greatest SCPs in my opinion. But there's many crazier ones on this list, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. Next up we have SCP-2000, a pretty cool number, right? SCP-2000 is a massive subterranean complex hidden beneath Yellowstone National Park, but this is far from a regular underground facility. SCP-2000 was built with a single purpose: to reconstruct human civilization in the event of a global extinction. In other words, if humanity ever disappears, this machine is programmed to bring it all back. Inside the reinforced structure lies enough space to sustain 10,000 personnel. It's powered by a 1 GW thorium reactor capable of running for 70 years at full output, alongside a geothermal backup generator that in theory can operate forever due to convenient nature surroundings. If you're wondering how something that massive can fit beneath Yellowstone, and well, it doesn't. The inside of it extends impossibly far. Engineers opened up pseudo-Riemannian manifold, effectively bending space to provide nearly 10,000 square kilometers of operational area. But power and space aren't what makes SCP-2000 impressive. Instead, it's the bright stars Archeon hominid replicators, 5,000 machines capable of manufacturing fully grown non-anomalous humans from raw biological material. At peak capacity, SCP-2000 can create 100,000 people every single day. The thing is though, these humans aren't just some randomly generated dumb puppets. The procedure known as Lazarus 1 is where it all comes together. The Foundation inputs a resume date into SCP-2000, usually set a few years before the disaster, and SCP-2000 then rebuilds the world to match that point in history. It fabricates leaders, workers, and civilians based on archived data to match the world as closely as possible. Everything from art and culture to the internet, it's stored in its massive databank, ready to be restored exactly as before. Once the rebuilding is complete, an Erolo-sized amnestic agent is released across the planet, vaping any memory of the reboot. And so the world continues, completely unaware that it already ended once and that it could end again if they don't lock in. But the disturbing thing is that it's confirmed SCP-2000 has been activated at least 2 times, but in reality the number is probably much higher, but the exact amount isn't known due to missing data, which again we don't know if it's due to an accident or intentional design. However, each version of humanity always thinks it's the first. Every time civilization collapses, the machine activates and it rewrites history from scratch whilst erasing the evidence. And with every repetition, more data slowly corrupts, more information is lost, and more imperfections slowly make their way into the next generation. For example, what if in theory the original humans were able to breathe underwater, maybe they had 3 eyes, or maybe men were able to give birth. All of that was slowly and silently lost with each reset. But even with this downside, this SCP is literally one of the most advanced creations of mankind, which it has already saved numerous times, so in my opinion it definitely deserved a spot on this list. Anyways, next up we have SCP-500. Now if you've played any SCP game, you're probably familiar with this one. But don't let the simplicity fool you. Each one of these capsules is capable of curing any disease, infection or illness within 2 hours of being swallowed. There's no side effects or complications, just a full and complete recovery as if you're using God mode in real life. It's been proven to cure everything from late stage cancer to SCP-008 zombie infection, which for context is a virus that liquefies your brain and turns you into a literal zombie. In one test, a subject infected with SCP-008 was fully cured after taking a single pill, even though they were minutes away from a total organ failure. Another subject who had been crystallized by SCP-409, which is a mineral that turns living tissue into solid quartz, recovered completely after taking 1 capsule. Obviously, after the Foundation figured this out, they were like, holy jackpot. Not only could they sell these in case they need billions of emergency funding from some ultra rich person, I can bet the O5 Council has snatched some of them for themselves, even if this isn't stated on the record. But despite countless studies, the Foundation has never managed to replicate whatever active ingredient makes SCP-500 work. Every attempt at synthesizing it has failed, hence it's believed these pills were made by something far beyond human understanding. Because of how rare and non-replaceable they are, SCP-500 is locked away and can only be accessed by level 4 personnel. This is not to be used to cure a hangover. Get AIDS, then ask for permission. Dr. Klein. Beyond basic cures, SCP-500 has also been tested with other SCPs. When placed inside SCP-914, the anomalous refining machine entered the defined setting and created a new object entirely. SCP-427, a locket capable of regenerating tissue and healing injuries at extreme speed. In another experiment, SCP-038, a tree that can duplicate any object, was used to try cloning the pills. The copies worked only about 30% of the time and the success rate dropped the longer they sat unused. So even the Foundation's other best SCPs couldn't manage to replicate these. Now hopefully I don't have to further explain how a pill that cures absolutely anything deserves to be classified as one of the greatest SCPs, and how revealing the existence of these to the public will cause massive chaos as many powerful people will try to get their hands on them through any way possible. Now in theory, SCP-914 will be more deserving of this spot, but come on, realistically this thing's whole purpose is to upgrade my card so I can go into heavy containment. So instead of it we have a much greater but at the same time dumber SCP. It's SCP-2800, also known as the Cactus Man, the Spiked Menace. SCP-2800 was once a regular Scottish man named Daniel McTiernan. He was bullied a lot as a kid in school and will get the crap beaten out of him. He just wanted to do his part in helping others and didn't want what happened to him to happen to anyone else. Then one morning he woke up to find that his body had changed. His skin fused with cactus tissue, his cells were carrying saguaro DNA, and his entire biology was rewritten to survive like a plant. He could photosynthesize sunlight, endure heat, and grow thorns across his body at will. And when that happened, Daniel didn't panic, he didn't run nor scream for help. He put on makeshift gloves, drew a log on his chest, and stepped out into the world calling himself Cactus Man. Now come on, you can't tell me that this guy isn't an absolute giga-chad. It may sound ridiculous, but trust me that Daniel meant every word. He believes his purpose is to save and help others. After gaining this ability, he'd go out and patrol city streets at night looking for people that need saving. What happened in your first mission? Drug dealers, mate. I hit one in the face and left some spines in there. Felt pretty good about myself until his body hit me in the back. They beat the crap out of me until the cops showed up. I was in a hospital for a while until I hit the streets again to patrol for crime. Had to show that Cactus Man won't be put down by those petty criminals, right? SCP-2800 was captured by the Foundation while they were tracking and trying to contain a reality-bending SCP object that had breached containment. SCP-2800 was found attempting to assault the escaped SCP object, although this proved largely ineffective. After the containment breach was resolved, the Foundation convinced SCP-2800 to be contained. But underneath all of this hero act, SCP-2800 has been diagnosed with several mental disorders, including chronic depression and hero syndrome, plus has been placed on suicide watch under the constant monitoring of psychologists. And honestly, I feel really bad. This guy's whole world is built around the urge to help others, but every time he tries to, he gets hospitalized or hell, captured by the SCP Foundation. Almost every time that I went out to fight crime, I got beat up by thugs that I was trying to stop. Sure, I got a few few good hits in and left some spines in them and maybe some bruises over and there, but there wasn't much else. They had knives and stuff too. I didn't have any of that stuff. What kind of a hero uses a knife? Gotta show a good message to the kids, right? Superheroes have to be good models for the kids. Due to this, the Foundation now lets him assist with smaller harmless tasks, like moving boxes, watering plants, helping maintenance staff, and it seems to have made a difference. When he feels useful, he has reported to be happier. Oh yeah, did I mention that besides having a cactus skin and basically being a half human, half plant, he can also talk to other cactuses. He talks to the potted cacti in his room, calling them Cacti Lad and Spike Girl, and swears they talk back. So yeah, even though he may not be the most useful or powerful SCP, he's just someone who wants to help others and do good deeds with his powers in order to make up for the injustice he received as a kid. He's basically an SCP version of Don Quixote. Now I don't know about you, but I have extremely high respect for this guy and his backstory, so in my opinion it was definitely worth mentioning him on this list. And the last but not least, we of course have SCP-999, also known as the Tickle Monster. Now this is probably one of the most famous SCPs and it's for a good reason. SCP-999 is an orange slime blob. He can change shape at will and has a really good smell that's different for each person. For someone he may smell like chocolate and to someone else he may smell like roses. When someone enters its containment area, SCP-999 literally reacts like an overexcited puppy. It rushes over, jumps onto them, wraps its slime arms around their body and starts making a series of happy high-pitched squeaks. Anyone who touches it experiences an immediate sense of calm and euphoria that grows stronger the longer they stay near it. This SCP is literally a living antidepressant and unlike most SCPs, it genuinely seems to love humanity. Its favorite activity is what researchers call tickle wrestling, where it wraps itself around a person and relentlessly tickles them until they ask it to stop. Though it doesn't always stop right away, SCP-999 has never intentionally hurt anyone. If it does, it immediately recoils, starts trembling and basically has a depressive mental breakdown until the person assures it that everything is fine. People with depression, trauma or grief have all reported feeling a big emotional shift after spending time with it. Foundation scientists are even considering developing antidepressants from its slime, though how possible this is still not known. SCP-999 acts childish, but it's noted that it clearly understands human speech and even technology. Hell, in a rare scenario it even threw itself in front of a bullet to protect a researcher. It's not known does he understand the concept of danger or does he just straight up not care, but either way it survived and reportedly refused to leave the researcher's sides afterwards. It refuses to eat meat of any kind and its whole diet is literally only candy and sweets. However, giving it Coca-Cola or any similar caffeinated beverages is strictly not allowed, as SCP-999 will begin bouncing around the room like crazy for half an hour and then collapse in nausea. But perhaps the most famous interaction of this SCP was the one with SCP-682, the hard-to-destroy reptile. If you're not familiar, SCP-682 is a creature that hates all life and has survived everything from acid baths to nuclear strikes. It's literally got an edgy, emo teenager personality and just wants to destroy everyone and everything. So naturally, the Foundation thought it was a good idea to see what will happen if they introduce the friendliest SCP in existence to the most unfriendly one. When released into 682's chamber, SCP-999 immediately rushed over toward it, squealing with joy. At first, 682 tried to crush it under its foot, but instead of dying, SCP-999 simply crawled up its leg, wrapped around its neck and began softly nuzzling it. However, to everyone's surprise, SCP-682 started laughing, not mockingly but instead real genuine happy laughter. It rolled on its back, slammed its tail against the floor and was struggling to tell it to stop due to sheer amount of laughing. It eventually fell asleep smiling. However, when SCP-999 was removed, 682 woke up again laughing maniacally this time and unleashed an energy wave that caused everyone nearby to collapse into hysterical laughter. That allowed it to escape containment and massacre dozens of people. But even after that incident, SCP-999 was completely unfazed and showed interest into playing with SCP-682 again. So yeah, this SCP is just the MVP of Good Samaritans in like the whole world. He can literally make anything or anyone happy and its existence is purely based around being helpful and cute, which in my opinion obviously gives it a spot if not the trophy for the greatest and kindest SCP ever. Or well, actually fuck that, a magical vending machine and a literal humanity reconstructor is way cooler, but hey, I still gotta give SCP-999 credit. Anyways, is there any SCPs I missed or do you disagree with my opinions on these SCPs? Make sure to let me know in the comments. Next, I'd recommend learning about the 5 most evil SCPs I barely managed to talk about without the video getting stricken down, or this video if you're just curious about the basics of the Foundation explained in idiot terms. Shout out to my patrons and channel members, thank you a lot for watching and I'll see you next time.